Hey, thank you, guys. In what I call the in-between years, I moved to San Antonio, Texas. The car I had brought down there with me finally died after much expensive malingering. So I found myself in need of a car. I was standing in the yard of a room I was renting from my friend Kevin, and as I looked down the street, I noticed a few houses down. They had a big, long driveway, and in the very back of it, there was a car back there, and it looked like it had been there a long time. And I'd asked Kevin, I said, have you ever seen that car move? And he said he didn't think so. So we walked off to investigate. As we walked up close and down the driveway to the automobile and got closer and closer, this big green monster of a car appeared, all covered in yard debris. You could tell it was originally a forest green, but now it was kind of light green with patches of metal shining through. Kevin, who knew all about cars, walked up to it and said, "Whoa, it's a 1969 Impala." It looked like a boat. It was covered with debris falling from trees. The tires were flat. The windshield wipers were shot. We opened the hood, and Kevin saw what he exclaimed was one of the most finest engines at General Motors, the 327. So I knocked on the door, and there's a little old lady answered the door, and this woman looked like grandmotherly. I mean, like real grandmotherly. Like, at a moment's notice, she could whip up a batch of cookies if need be. She had sparkly blue eyes and a lot of gray hair with a band. I had asked her about this car sitting in the driveway, and she replied, "My husband drove that car every day up to the week he died 5 years ago. We pulled it up there to the very back of the garage there, and there it's sat ever since." And then with a little twinkle in her eye, she asked, "Why, do you want to buy it?" I said, "Yes, I'll give you $400. And the deal was done. So we went home, and the next day, Kevin gathered up all his automobile stuff, and we went down to begin the resurrection process. Airing up the tires, opening the hood, a tape filter out, and cleaning it up. Well, we had done everything else. At the very end of the process, he poured 2 quarts of automatic transmission fluid into the crankcase and said, "Turn this baby over." We turned it over, and then he drained it back out. He said, "Hey, it lubes up the lifters." So after all this fluid refilling, it was time to start this car up. And we put the key in. We had a fresh battery. It coughed, but it did start up. We backed it out of the driveway and drove down 4 houses to our house and put it in our driveway. I got it legal. Every paycheck I would do something else to fix it up. And then they had a special at the local car paint place for $300. They'd paint that original forest green on there with 2 layers if I took off all the tape. I think that color was probably in surplus. I drove it home. We parked it, looked at it in the driveway with all the paint and the new windshield wipers and new tires, and we christened it. Now, this is San Antonio. So me in this car, I am Mr. Cool. La Bamba Car and I went on with our life. I worked for a very large musical instrument store, and Christmas came around. We were working long, long hours, fueled by caffeine and cigarettes at every break. We finally got to close the store down. It was a cold December night. It must have been 40. Hey, this is South Texas. On the way home, I noticed the gas gauge was on E, but my bladder gauge was on F, and I needed to take care of business fast. So I stopped at a convenience store, got out, pumped in $5 worth of gas, quickly went inside. I told you it was cold. We used the restroom, ran back out, started the car up, and drove about 4 blocks when fire started coming out of the exhaust pipe. This is not good. And then it started making some scary engine noises. I pulled it over next to the road onto a patch of grass that was between the road and a fence with cattle on the other side. I sat there frozen, thinking, then I realized I had put diesel in my car. Oh my God, I may have killed the La Bamba car. I gathered up my things, and I walked home and told Kevin what had happened. He said it would probably be okay. We'd take care of it the following morning. So we went down there with his automobile stuff, some gas, and his tools. We dropped the tank, and he drained it right on the ground, at which point I remember saying, Kevin, is it okay for us to dump that gasoline on the ground? He said, oh, no. In Texas, the rule is anything under 20 gallons, you don't pour it. He put the tank back on, poured in some fresh gasoline, went in front and tinkled around with the carburetor, and we started it. It made a scary noise, but it was started and it running, and I drove it home. That day, I sat on my couch with my face in my palms thinking, oh my, what have I done? And since I was a little older at this point in my life, I thought, and what have I learned from this? There is something deep within this that I need to understand and learn. And it came to me in a blinding flash. Never when you have to pee. My wife and I use this wise thing that we have learned in our life every time we buy a car, we buy a house, we do anything important or even not important, we make sure our bladder is empty. Hey, thank you all, and it was good to see you. Well, after a tank or two, it ran great.